Shorin Kempo Uchideshi Program was first established back in the 1980s. Some would go as far as saying it's one of the hardest Uchideshi programs in the world. The Uchideshi program lasts 1,000 days and is one of the most demanding courses or programs in martial arts today. The program is designed to produce teachers, and in martial arts, and especially in Shorin Kempo, one of our main mottos is to never give up. Therefore, we believe that the Shodan, or the Uchideshi, must understand what it's like to be pushed to their physical and mental limits and far beyond, so that when they stand in front of their class and teach, they have a clear understanding of what lies before each student and how to push that student to get the very best from them. After all, how can you expect to ask someone to give 100% if you've never done it yourself? The Uchideshi program is designed to bring the very best and produce some of the best teachers in the world. Today we celebrate the Uchideshi class of 2019 to 2022. The first part of their initial grading was a theory exam, which took 8 hours. Once they passed the theory exam, they then moved on to the fitness and conditioning, where they run 6.5 kilometers in the sea, waist deep, with the water above the belts. From there, they hit the road and they run another 17 kilometers in temperatures of sometimes over 34 degrees. The heat started to take its toll. Running in temperatures 34 to 36 degrees can take it out of you. But the support of the old Uchideshi were there all the way through. And also the brotherhood, where each helped each other and pushed them to their physical limits. No one was in the grading on their own. They were all there supported by some of the previous Uchideshi that have all been through the same grade. Faced with heat exhaustion and almost incoherent, students still pushed their way to complete the 17.5 kilometer run back to the Hombu dojo. In some cases, they were almost crawling to reach the dojo. At the dojo, they are met by more Uchideshi from the past classes, and they go through the 50-man kumite. This is a grueling kumite where nothing's held back, fighting senior students only. There was no way you could give up. You had to fight and keep on fighting and never give up. It wasn't about winning, it was about being able to stand back up and come back. It was about keeping on fighting. The motto, never give up, really plays a part here. And at the end of the 50-man kumite, there's not a single Uchideshi that doesn't understand what that means to give 100%. The second day of the grading started at 9 a.m. and continued on to 6 p.m. The 50-man kumite, once this was over, then the conditioning started. The pain to some was excruciating, but everybody stood back up and everybody kept going. Being a teacher of martial arts, especially of Shorin Kempo, is not about just learning to kick and punch. It's about being able to push yourself to your limits. It's about understanding your limits and going far beyond them. The whole concept of the Uchideshi grading is to produce teachers with a skill level second to none. There is different ways of doing the grades. In Shorin Kempo, we have the single black belt grade, which is done just with the 50-man Kumite and a revision of your Q grades. But the Uchideshi program is completely different and is only done through the Hombu Dojo. The Uchideshi program of Shorin Kempo is truly for the select few, and for those that have a mindset and a determination with the ability to put everything behind them and sacrifice 1,000 days. For those considering to become Uchideshi, you need to think very carefully about it. The commitment that's required is second to none. It takes a special breed of a person to be able to sacrifice 1,000 days and to submit themselves to the pain and the emotion that comes along with such grueling training. However, those that manage it and pass it become some of the very select few and can be proud to say that they are Uchideshi. Shorin Kempo is not just a karate style, it's a way of life to many, and the Uchideshi have taken that commitment and become part of our family. To become Uchideshi, it's not just a privilege, it's an honor. Hundreds and hundreds of people have applied to become Uchideshi at Shorin Kempo, but only a very select few make it. The Uchideshi are pushed so far and beyond all their physical and their mental capabilities. They are designed to absorb knowledge and to be able to pass it on. But how can someone pass on or stand in front of a karate class and teach karate if they've never been to the wall, if they've never been pushed to their physical limits? How can they bring the best out of their students without being there themselves at one time of their life? The Uchideshi program is the ultimate test of never giving up. The Uchideshi of Shorin Kempo are a very tight family. Even the ones that originally graded way back in the 1980s all the way till today, they all have one thing in common. The day they stepped onto the tatami in the Hombu Dojo, they dug deep down into their hearts and souls, and they gave 100%. They were pushed to both their mental and physical limit, far beyond their expectations. They had no idea what they were in for. But those that survived the 1,000 days and then survived the last 3 days of the graduation have something very special. They can always stand in front of their dojo, in front of their students, and they can say proudly that they've been to the wall, that they've given 100%, that they've been pushed to their physical limits, and they know how to bring the very best out of their students that stand in front of them because they've been there. Day 3 and the final day of the Uchideshi grading is just as hard as the second day. Even worse, because of the aches and pains from the exhaustion of the day before, or the bruising from the 100-man Kumite, the student is expected to go through every Q grade from 8th Q to Shodan and revise them in front of the instructors to ensure that their ability to pass on knowledge will be second to none. This part of the grading on the third day is very hard because the day before, the Karateka or Uchideshi are pushed to their limits in heat, sometimes reaching 34 to 36 degrees with heat exhaustion, Their legs and arms and bodies have been beaten through the 50-man Kumite and are bruised and injured. And yet today, they have to perform all their Q grades. In Shorin Kempo, we only have 3 katas. The rest of Shorin Kempo is Gyaku Waza, Nuki Waza, Kumite Waza, Nagi Waza, and the ability to adapt to all situations. Shorin Kempo is not a grappling art. We do not teach BJJ. We are a self-defense art that basically is a stand-up martial art. However, the reason we don't teach BJJ is because we don't want the student to be comfortable down on the ground. The reason being is in self-defense, if you're on the ground tied up, you are vulnerable to a secondary assailant. In Shorin Kempo, we utilize wrestling. The reason being is we find it as a better form of self-defense than actually grappling, as the last thing you want to do is be on your back on the ground in a self-defense situation when you don't know how many assailants there are there. Uchideshi grading is so grueling that the pain from the bruising of the 50-man Kumite is almost unbearable. But for those that have passed, this not just passing the 1,000 days of training, but the last 3 days of the graduation, we all congratulate you, class of 2019 to 2020, for you have become some of the very select few of the Shorin Kempo Uchideshi.